I'm 26 years old. I booked a one-way ticket to Japan and I'm in Tokyo right now. I just quit my job and I've been reflecting a lot on the decisions I've made in my life and where I'm going in my life. I notice a lot of people are mentally checked out, they're burnt out, overstressed, overworked, and I'm starting to understand why. Now, everyone grows up with a life of expectations. They are expected to go on certain paths, they're expected to live a certain way, they're expected to have certain values and not have certain and not value certain things. And a lot if you feel lost, especially in your 20s or your 30s or just lost in life in general, you might be trapped by that extrinsic motivation, those expectations, those things that come from the outside in that tell you how your identity should be. And I thought I was the crazy one for wondering, why am I burnt out? Why am I burnt out when I'm working a job I was told to get? Why am I burnt out when I'm living a life that I'm told to be? And not to get religious, but I've had a weird relationship with Catholicism as I grew up Catholic, and I'm starting to realize why a lot of people feel burnt by the Catholic Church, and it's because of this extrinsic motivation. Have grown up being told how they should live, how they should value their how they should have their values, and they feel locked into a life that is not their own. I'm not going down a religious path, don't worry. As in, like, I'm not about to talk about all that. And so, what happens is we mentally check out. We might be physically at work, but we're mentally gone. We're mentally somewhere else in the past, thinking, I could be living like this instead. Or you might be daydreaming, like, man, I wish I could be this professional gamer, or be this content creator, or be this author, or be an artist, or be an engineer if you're in a different career. And we'll mentally check out. And what ends up happening is there is a separation between your external, what people say you should be like, and what people say you what you want to be like. So you desire change, you desire something new. And the problem is, we desire something new, but that path is uncertain. There is not clarity or security in the path, which is why we will cling to the secure path, even though we internally know that it is not where we're meant to be in this life. It's like this is exactly what happened to me, which is crazy. So I worked a corporate job for 14 years, 14 months, and I disliked it completely. I saved pretty much all my money in that job, which is how I'm in Japan basically right now. I worked this job, and this was a job I was told I should work. And then I quit it and I chased my dreams for 2 years working on YouTube and just kind of half-assing a lot of my own exploration. I feel like there's more I've wanted to do, but I was too afraid. And so what ended up happening is that fear overtook me. The uncertainty I was not able to embrace, which is a key point I will talk about in a second. And I retreated back to my old identity, my old external um, way of living. And so after 2 years, I got a job in an office job, which is the same type of work I did for 14 months. And I thought it was slightly better. I thought I chose this job. But guess what? It came from the external world telling me this is how I should live my life. And I quit after 7 weeks because my internal was telling me that this is wrong. I know I'm not meant to be there. And I'll talk about that uncertainty now, because what ends up happening is whenever we check out, whenever our mental and our intrinsic motivation is telling us to be somewhere and we're mentally checking out, it's the most emotionally intense part of the process, and part of the process of being in a, I'll just call it quarter life crisis. And what happens is, because it's so emotionally intense, where we think like, oh, like I'm no good, I feel guilty, I feel ashamed because I'm rejecting I want to reject that external identity. So you feel guilty, you feel ashamed for not living up to external expectations. And guess what? It's emotionally intense because we don't embrace the process. We resist this process. We say we're not meant to struggle. We're supposed to feel these shameful emotions because we're not living up to this expectation. But guess what? Embracing the process of being lost, of being uncertain, of accepting, you know, this separation is the secret sauce, is the key. Because what ends up happening if you resist like I did is you will conform back into your old life and you will be unhappy. And then you'll be confused because you're like, I'm living up to the expectations, except now I'm I feel terrible, because you know internally that's not how you align. It's not where you're aligned. So what's the solution? What is the solution once you realize all of this, that you can't live by how people expect you to live, and you can't continue being checked out of life, being burnt out of life, because that's not going to, it's, you're just kicking the can down the road. You're pushing a problem for a later date. It's going to build up. Imagine pushing a balloon full of air into a pool. The farther you push it down, the higher up it's going to shoot out of the pool. So how do we self-discover? Well, one way is to physically leave your old identity behind. Physically get far away from everything that has told you how you are and who you are. And this is also a hard part of the process, because guess what? If the identity you were told to be is far away from you, then who are you? There's a void, there's nothing. But guess what? I read Vagabond, which is a manga, and he says in one panel, inside I am empty, which means he's nothing. But guess what? With nothingness comes infinite, because when there's nothing, there's infinite potential to be anything. And so when you leave your old identity behind, you now have potential to create a life however you want to live it. However you choose to live, you can create and rebuild a new self that is not bound by anything. And this is the difference between extrinsic motivation, being told what to do, how you should live, how you should be, to internal, intrinsic motivation. It is your own creation. And there is a whole process of exploring this. You might try a little thing here and there. Maybe you want to go to a new cafe on your own. Maybe you want to, try an acting class. Maybe you want to paint. I don't know. Do whatever you want, basically. But the difference is, this is exploration. It's not being told what to do. It's kind of interesting because the word exploration, I'm not sure if that means external, because extrinsic expectation is external. I guess maybe I'm just going on a tangent there. But anyways, exploration is supposed to be intrinsic, and it is a form of building who you want to be. And you can take time to reflect and see, whenever you explore, how does that make you feel? Does that feel like it's the direction you're wanting to move in, or does it feel like it's the opposite direction? I'm trying to avoid the words right and wrong because that comes from a different place. And so basically, that is why I'm here in Japan, because I'm tired of living up to expectations. I I've been stuck in this loop, and as much as I try to separate myself from my expectations, sometimes you literally just got to do something extreme. You got to leave where you're at. I was living with my parents and they were very accepting of me. The only problem is I'm physically with them every day. That's also how I saved up a crap ton of money, by the way, enduring some of that. And then I moved in with my aunt and uncle, and I love them. I'm very grateful that I have a place to stay. This is a whole nother thing. I'm grateful for my life. And the thing is, I'm also bound by those expectations when I'm there. So sometimes you got to take the plunge and you got to go and do something extreme. Create your own life. Why are we living in a life that we feel stuck in? We feel stuck because we keep ourselves in the place for our old identity to be there. And so, this one-way ticket to Japan, I've got a couple months here legally, that's as long as I can stay. Um, it's time to freaking explore. I'm actually here with my little cousin. Him and I have a lot of different views, but I'm here to explore. And yeah, but anyways, that is all I wanted to share today. I encourage y'all to really, if you're feeling like lost, you're in a quarter life crisis, you're in some sort of midlife crisis, whatever, that's fine. Embrace it. Embrace that lost feeling. It's part of the process. That feeling is not something to be solved or fixed or to find the right solution. And also, creating your life is not about finding the right solution. It's about creating a life that you want to live, that you want to wake up and be excited for, and you're aligned in it. Uh, it's not about avoiding problems. It's not about avoiding a life you don't want to live. It's about creating a life you want to live. And this is the phase I'm personally at in this process. And yeah, so I had been wanting to do this for the past 2 years, but I was too afraid. I was too afraid of the uncertainty. And that is why we cling to that old identity. We're scared of the uncertain, the unknown, so we cling to what's known, which is external expectations. So if you really want to explore a life that is not stuck, that you're aligning with yourself, then this might be the solution for you. And you might not have to go halfway across the world to do this. Maybe it's taking, a weekend trip by yourself, doing something on your own. Be a little selfish. Actually, be selfish and go and say no to some responsibilities that you're able to and just leave for a day. Leave for, you know, a couple hours, as much as you can get, and just explore. Because you're gonna build up internal, resistance, internal struggle for no reason. So, anyways, that's all I have for today. I'm in Japan. Um, yeah, it's pretty bizarre being here. I'll show you some of my room because I think it's kind of fun. Um, this is some Japanese salty thing. This is some vitamin drink stuff. We got Mount Fuji Kit Kats. We got the sleep mask. We got the Family Mart socks. Some cool stuff. I just bought these miniature notepads. And I've got this freaking really cool pen that also, it's so small, but guess what? It can freaking, uh, it can extend. And now it's open. You can close it. Like Japan, like this place. That's a reason why I moved, or I mean, temporarily moved here. It's freaking cool, guys. It's so cool, and I'm very blessed to be able to do this. But I worked hard. I used what I got. I saved up a ton of money. I made sacrifices, but Anyways, I encourage y'all to explore. Uh, yeah. Thank you for all my subscribers and everyone who comments. Even the comments that seem kind of negative, I appreciate the feedback. It gives me something to work with. So thank you all for taking your time. Anyways, peace. Bye.